Here I'm going to show you how to use Google Sheets to sort of produce a graph with error bars. Google Sheets does not really do error bars terribly well. So what I've done right here is entered some data for X and Y, and each data point has its own alpha or standard error, which I've entered right here. Then what I'm going to do is plot separately the Y value plus and minus the standard error. So rather than calculating those numbers myself, we're going to have the computer do the calculations. So to tell the computer what's in this cell is an equation. You start with an equal sign. Then we're going to enter the formula by first clicking on this cell because I want to take the Y value and I want to add the standard error. So we click on that, hit enter, and what it does is it takes the value of this and add it to the value of that. Here I'm going to do the same calculation, only I want to take Y and I want to subtract the value for alpha. So here I have the upper error bar and here I have the lower error bar. Rather than entering those two formulas in each cell, we can highlight the two cells, click on the bottom corner and drag, and it'll copy the formulas down. So this is the data I want to graph. This is the upper error bar and this is the lower error bar. So now I want to create my graph. So I'm going to select the data I want to graph, and then we click on the insert chart. The default is, for some reason, Google immediately puts it as a bar graph, which I don't want. So instead, we're going to take this right here and switch it to a scatter plot. And then we're going to change the scales. So we're going to go to customize horizontal axis, which is the x-axis. So we're going to change that to go from 0 to 10. And then we're going to change the vertical axis to go from 0 to 8 rather than accepting their default values. Okay, so now we have our basic graph. Now I'm going to insert by customizing my series. I am going to add a trend line. Now you may notice there's this error bar thing here and you'll go, wait a minute, there it is right there. That is not really error bars. That works if and only if you have the exact same size error bar for every single point, which rarely if ever happens. Or you can add the same percentage plus and minus. And again, that rarely if ever happens. So whoever does Google doesn't understand error bars, so ignore that. We want to show the R-squared value for how well our data fits our line. And we also want to see the equation. So now our label here is this is the equation for the best fit line, y equals this line, and R-squared right here is 0.985. Now we need to insert our error bars. I'm just going to move the graph down so I can see my data. So now we're going to go to Setup, and underneath Series, there's Add Series. So I'm going to click on that, and I want to add a series. Now here I want to add the plus, and for some reason I find it works a little bit better if you actually click the cell containing the label and the data. Click OK. Now it plots the upper data points, error bars. We're going to add another series, and now I want to click on the lower one. And we go OK. Now I have my error bars added. Technically I'm done, but I'm going to clean this up a little bit by customizing the series. And I want to change the alpha plus. First, I might as well make it the same color because it refers to the same data. But it is different, so I'm going to change the error bar to be a square rather than a circle. I'm going to do the same thing for the y minus. Make it the same color, but change the shape to be a square. And there we have it. That is about as good as it gets using Google Sheets. We have our data with a trend line, and we have our error bars plus and minus displayed.